Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we're jumping right into a really high energy journey through the history of human ingenuity. Specifically, we're looking at one of the absolute most foundational skills our species has ever developed, the ability to permanently join materials together. I mean, it's this incredible story of accelerating heat, brilliant innovation, and the unseen structural glue of our modern world. From ancient artisans all the way to modern laser technicians, we are diving into the history of welding.
Okay, let's dive into this. How do you permanently bond two virtually indestructible pieces of metal together? It sounds kind of like a paradox, doesn't it? Well, this is an ancient problem, but it's also the literal foundation of the modern built environment that surrounds you right now. Think about it. The buildings we live in, the cars we drive, the bridges we cross, they all rely on solving this exact puzzle. If we couldn't figure out how to make two separate pieces of metal act as one solid, unbroken piece, the towering skyscrapers and sprawling infrastructure of our world, yeah, they simply wouldn't exist.
So, to really understand how we solve that problem, we first got to look at a foundational concept, and that is amalgamation. Amalgamation is simply the process of joining or merging materials together. It's a pretty broad term, right? But it's the ultimate goal of all welding and allied processes. Whether we're talking about the incredibly delicate microscopic connections inside your smartphone circuit board or the massive heavy-duty steel joints holding up a suspension bridge, the core principle is exactly the same. We're taking separate elements and amalgamating them into a unified, stronger whole.
Let's move to our timeline and see how this builds. We'll be tracing the 5 eras of welding, starting with ancient soldering and Roman forge welding, moving through the 19th and 20th centuries, and going all the way up to recent laser and electron beam techniques.
Starting with Section 1, the spark of civilization. You know, long before the towering factories and electrical grids of our modern age, the origins of amalgamation were actually pretty humble. Ancient soldering was the earliest form of this process. They used low melting point alloys, things like tin and lead, and artisans used these early techniques not just for decoration, but for actual survival and daily life. They manufactured intricate jewelry, sure, but they also forged essential weapons, pots, and all sorts of other daily tools. These were the sparking beginnings of a craft that would eventually spread and change the entire face of the planet. Now fast forward a bit to the Roman era, and we get forge welding. This is a technique we absolutely still consider to be a true form of welding today. And it's actually pretty funny when you think about it. The big secret to keeping the mighty Roman army's armor intact essentially came down to heating iron in a forge and then just hitting it with a very, very heavy hammer. I mean, it's brute force engineering at its absolute finest, but for sure, it was a total marvel of its time.
Moving right along to Section 2, the industrial ignition.
Okay, we are officially leaving antiquity behind and stepping on the gas. The sheer scale of the late 19th century Industrial Revolution demanded permanent joints that, quite frankly, Roman hammers just couldn't handle anymore. And this desperation pushed amalgamation completely out of the local blacksmith's forge and right into the rigorous fields of physics, chemistry, and mathematics. We weren't just hitting metal with hammers anymore, we were calculating exactly how it behaved on a molecular level. And this scientific approach led to a massive race for innovation. A really crucial divergence happened right here. The very first welding patents were actually filed down 2 entirely different pathways of energy: chemical energy and electrical energy. Innovators were literally racing to harness the raw power of the Earth's elements on one hand and the newly tamed power of electricity on the other, all to achieve the exact same goal. And this brilliantly illustrates 2 absolutely monumental discoveries. On one side, we have acetylene gas combined with oxygen to create an intensely hot flame. Then, on the other side, the electric arc, which burns at a blistering thousands of degrees. Both of these breakthroughs were total game changers because they were finally capable of attaining the suitably high temperatures needed for the actual smelting of material. We were finally melting the base metals themselves to fuse them together rather than just relying on a low-temperature filler to do the job. Which brings us to Section 3, the 20th century boom. So the theoretical discoveries of the Industrial Revolution laid the framework for 20th century mass production, shipbuilding, and those massive automotive assembly lines. Now, what's really interesting about this is how we developed an absolute alphabet soup of processes that are still heavily in use today. We're talking standard metal arc welding and gas-shielded processes that you might know by acronyms like MIG, MAG, and TIG. The brilliant technical insight here was using a shielding gas to literally push away the atmosphere. That prevents oxygen from contaminating and weakening the super vulnerable molten weld pool, which ensures a perfectly pure and incredibly strong joint.
But right at the height of mastering all this incredible heat, engineers started asking a fascinating question. What if we don't use heat? Or at least, what if we don't rely entirely on an external flame or an arc to reach smelting temperatures? How else can we amalgamate these materials?
Well, that brings us to force-based and resistance joining. Resistance welding uses the metal's own electrical resistance to generate localized heat. But even wilder than that are the solid-state procedures. Take ultrasonic welding, for instance. It uses high-frequency acoustic vibrations. And friction welding, that is truly extreme. You literally spin or rub two pieces of metal together so fast and so hard that the kinetic energy alone melts and fuses them. It's violent, it's loud, and there are absolutely no flames required. No way, right?
All right, moving into section 4, high-tech fusion and beyond.
Entering the manufacturing reality of recent decades honestly feels like pure science fiction. We've moved from the heavy hammers of Rome and the sparking arcs of the 20th century to mastering pure, concentrated beams of light with laser beam welding. And we're manipulating streams of electrons in a vacuum with electron beam welding. The depth and staggeringly narrow precision of these technologies are things past generations couldn't have even dreamed of.
But innovation never just stops in silos. So the crucial point is that today's engineers deploy hybrid techniques. They're simultaneously using at least 2 known methods of welding at the exact same time. For example, pairing a laser beam with a traditional electric arc brilliantly combines the deep penetration of a laser with the gap-filling capability of an arc. It's really the ultimate synergy in material science.
So we have journeyed from ancient soldering to electron beams, a truly accelerating history of heat and human ingenuity. I want to leave you with this final thought. If we went from Roman hammers to electron beams in just a few millennia, as we develop entirely new metamaterials and look toward building infrastructure in the cold vacuum of space, how will we fuse the materials of the future? Something to think about. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.